getting better. When I left you, I thought I'd be cool. I told myself I was over you. But I was lying through my teeth. I started crying immediately. I'm out of key. I'm begging you, come and help me get in tune. 'Cause you ain't been standing next to me. Not making me stay on beat. I need you standing next to me. I can't even keep my feet. I'm fading slowly. I lost my voice, can barely breathe. My pulse is slow and my heart is losing speed. I'm pitiful, can't stand alone. If you're not helping me up, I'm bound to fall. What can I do? What can I say to make you believe I really changed? I did. I'm out of sync. I'm begging you, come and help me find my groove. 'Cause you ain't been standing next to me. I need to stay on beat.
I'm walking to a new beat, and yes, I think I want some new sheets, and ooh, I think I want a new dime. See, you playing it for the last time.
What am I supposed to do?
Yes, I think I found a new girl. You
Little hint, a little
did it
something.
wrong, baby. You did it,
Love
baby.
to love. I won't even wash my sheets.
I don't miss you, baby.
Miss you.
I don't miss you, baby.
Can you please come home?
Is watching.
I want to welcome all to shouts out to Tahiti.
Gonna say that.
Oh man, so now I don't know what's going on with Spreaker, but hey, we still live on Facebook, and I'm sipping on some water. Now I need to make my announcements. Hold on, we have an event coming up tomorrow from 1 to 3 for the Kwanzaa. The pre-Kwanzaa Zawadi event at the Rickenbacker Woods Foundation Learning Center, 1330 Livingston Avenue, 43205. Tomorrow, Ujima, from 1 to 3, November 22nd, 2017. It's going down. We are in Kwanzaa season, family, and it's time to build. It's time to get busy. It's time for us to start sharing what we know and learned throughout this year. Shouts out to Anubis Kane. He one of the toasters that be up with me early in the morning. He says, GN, looking forward to the show. We about to get it in tonight. Shouts out to Nicholas Daniel, Eugene Landers. Oh man. Also known as Brother Asaru. What's going on? How you doing? Hey, he said, what's up, GG?
Hi.
All right, so we about to kick it. We about to hit this folktale. Man, I wanted to be at the She-Show tonight, but I didn't get off until about now. So we are what we are. Those that want to call in, feel free to join the conversation. Call in at 614-556-4535. We're about to unleash this powerful folktale for the night. Thoughts for the night. You know what I'm saying? because let me tell you, man, there's always a way that our ancestors line up all of this stuff. I need to go on and take this off. Let me click right here. Click. There we go. All right, so I can see what's going on Facebook. All right, so we about to kick it. Go and drink your water, Gina. Drink your water. So for those that don't know, the folktale for the night is the North Wind and the Sun. We're coming from Aesop Fables. Y'all see mine is well used. We've been going through this book together for
3,000 years.
seems like 3,000 years, but it's been about 2 years. We are on page 249, and there's a folktale on every page, starting at page.
It was at the end.
Starting at page 18. So if you minus 18 pages, that's 231. We have done 231 shows for folktales for grown folks, family. You know, I think that deserves a round of applause. What you think, Gina G?
Yep.
Okay, let's give it up. Let's give it up. Oh, what's up, brother Night? All right, we've been doing it, right? We've been doing it. Now, Gina done took control of the keyboard. She learned it so she could do it. So let's get straight into this folktale, okay? Well, I'm gonna pour me some tea. I got some green tea. I don't got no ambrosia. This is green tea without the unsweetened,
Well, that's good. Let's
cold
give it-
brew. You want some, Gina?
No.
Okay.
But that's
smart.
good. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay. Go ask your mama. Go ask your mom. Where's my water bottle that was sitting right here? All right. So, y'all ready? Let's get into it. Once again, those that want to call in, hit me up at 614-556-4535. If you want to be added on the camera, I can send you an invite if it's not on there, but I can pull you up as well. All right, so here we go. The lines are open. I don't have any other announcements except it is Kwanzaa season. Make sure you put an ad, get an ad. Make sure you nominate somebody to be celebrated this Kwanzaa. Make sure you if you're a vendor, make sure you getting you some space at Kwanzaa. She don't know, huh? That's messed up. All right, come on, Gina G. Let's do this show. We ain't gonna let nothing mess us up. Shouts out to Troy Cox. What's up, boy?
What's up, boy?
What's going on, man? All right, shouts out to Crystal Monet Johnson. Let's go and get this started, right? All right, so I know Shaka's somewhere on Facebook. I know might be joining us live for the conversation. So here we go. I'm gonna read the folktale for y'all. You want to try to read it, Gina G? This one right here. Read the title.
The North.
You gotta say it louder so they can hear you.
The North Wild
Wind.
Wind and the Sun.
The North Wind and the Sun. Now, y'all get ready. Y'all get ready. The North Wind and the Sun disputed as to which was the most powerful, and agreed that he should be declared the victor who could first strip a wayfaring man of his clothes. The North Wind first tried his power and blew with all his might, but the keener his blast, the closer the traveler wrapped his cloak around him, until at last, resigning all hope of victory, the wind called upon the sun to see what he could do. The sun suddenly shone out with all his warmth. The traveler no sooner felt his genial rays than he took off one garment after another, and at last, fairly overcome with heat, undressed and bathed in the stream that lay in his path. And the lesson is persuasion is better than force. Once again, they said persuasion is better than force. Now, I want y'all to pay attention to the mind humping that's going on here. All right? So I'm going to read it again. Once again, feel free to call in and join the conversation at 614-556-4535. If you want to be on camera, let me know. Be like, put me on, Brother Hatim, put me on. Or you could just call in. You know what I'm saying? Just call in. All right, here we go. The north wind and the sun disputed as to which was the most powerful, and agreed that he should be declared the victor who could first strip a wayfaring man of his clothes. The north wind first tried his power and blew with all his might, but the keener his blast, the closer the traveler wrapped his cloak around him, until at last, resigning all hope of victory, the wind called upon the sun to see what he could do. The sun suddenly shone out with all his warmth. The traveler no sooner felt his genial rays than he took off one garment after another, and at last, fairly overcome with heat, undressed and bathed in the stream that lay in his path. Persuasion is better than force. Persuasion is better than force. What you do, Gina G?
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, that's what they all say. All right? Persuasion is better than force. Now, let's break this down. Let's look at this, family. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Oh, man, I can't find my own post. I want to keep y'all up here so that I can make comments when we need to make comments when some people call in. All right. So, I'm trying to stall because I want somebody to call in. But, hey, if y'all not going to call in, we'll have a conversation. Make it quick, and I'll let you go for the night. But y'all know we're going to have a good conversation. Now, check this out. So, we got two forces. We got the sun. We got the north wind. They're in a competition. Now, the north wind goes first. Now, first, let's look at the competition. Now, this is what I mean about the mind humping. I'm not going to just go into it because Gina is right here. But I'm saying mind humping. Those of you that know my language, y'all know what I mean, right? The F word, right? Mind F, right? Now, think about this. What you laughing at? You know that? What? See this? Right? Shouts out to Nicole Pittman. I want y'all to think about this. So the sun and the north wind is having a competition. Right? What's the competition? To see who could get a traveler to undress, to take off their clothes. Right? Now, that's the competition. Now, what does the north wind do? The north wind does what the north wind does. The north wind starts to blow. But we all know, because I want y'all to think about this. Think deeply about this. What is the north wind known for? North wind is known for cold breezes and storms. When the north wind is blowing, you know that you got problems coming. Why? Because the air is coming from the north. What's in the north? Coldness, right? So the north wind is going to blow cold air. Now, I want you to think about this. The north wind agreed to compete with the sun in getting somebody to undress. When the north wind only has a power to bring breezes that make people shiver, that make people want to put on more clothes, right? Now, this is the issue, because I want to bring this back to our community. Like how you doing? Shouts out to Christine Lowe. Shouts out. Hey, now, tell brother Renee I want to go to tell brother Renee I'm gonna call him. It's an affirmative because the first day of the new year, the last day of Kwanzaa, I'm open, so I'm down. But anyway, back to the story. Now, this is us. See, because we gotta realize where we are, right? Now, the north wind want to have a contest with the sun. First off, problematic, right? Now, but anyway, let's say they're equal, even though we know they're not. The north wind is trying to compete with the sun in a competition that the north wind can't possibly win. I know that sounds crazy. The north wind can't possibly win. Because the game that the north wind is trying to play is a game that the sun is good at. All right, Christy Monet Johnson says, this is so amazing. When I was little, you used to tell me and my siblings and cousins these stories. Oh, see, and I keep on doing it, right? You know what I'm saying? Because the whole piece is, within these stories, when you was a kid, you get a piece of the story. As adults, we're able to look at the deeper pieces of the story. It's amazing, right? And this is why. Because our ancestors dealt with layered wisdom, and I keep on trying to tell y'all this. The wisdom is layered. So some of the stories that we used to think was childish, you need to go back and look at some of those stories, because those stories were not originally created for children. The folktales, Aesop fables, was not created for children. They were created for adults. They was created to give us life lessons so that we didn't have to go out and bang our heads and make the same mistakes that our ancestors did. This is how we pass on culture, through stories. People don't understand the importance of stories. And I keep on trying to stress that to my family. For example, in Columbus, I'm gonna come back to the story, but let me tell you a short story. I had an opportunity to see Black Power in Columbus in motion in a small meeting with my friends, where I was able to see, don't do that, where I was able to see all the work that I and other people have been doing came together in one moment and made something happen. This whole thing is real, family, right? And we're not telling the story of our greatness. We're allowing other people to tell our stories, or we're trying to do like the North Wind. Back to the story. The North Wind is trying to compete with the sun in the sun's game. If you're going to play a game, at least have a chance at winning, right? We as a people, we're trying to compete in a game that is not designed for us to win. But for some reason, we want to bang our heads and try to make sure that we win a game that was designed against us, rather than playing the game that was designed for us to win. We're not setting up the game. We're not setting up the stories to even move us into the game, like the North Wind. See, because I want us to look at the deepness of it. Because a lot of us that's here, this is why I say folktales for grown folks, because a lot of us have been initiated through life. And being initiated, we have the ability to speak in a language that our children wouldn't understand, because Gina's going to take something away different from this story than you will. Gina's just going to hear, persuasion is better than force. When in fact, if you really look at it, the sun used force to get that man to take his clothes off. But you were fooled when you was younger, because you thought that the sun persuaded the man to take the clothes off. No, the sun unleashed its power and forced this man to take his clothes off. It looked like persuasion. It looked like what the man wanted to do, but it actually wasn't what the man wanted to do. It was what the sun wanted the man to do. Right? Because that's the sun's game. The sun warms up, and when the warmth comes out, we automatically start taking off our clothes. So the sun automatically knew that the competition between himself and herself and the North Wind was already in the bag. That's why he let the North Wind go first. The North Wind was playing a game that it couldn't win. The North Wind was playing a game that was not designed for it. And many of us in our life, we're playing a game that we wasn't designed to win. So now what we need to do is change the game. We need to change the game. We need to start designing the game. Because let's understand this. You sleep? Gina, go to bed. Oh, it's about to go down now. It's about to go down now. Right? Listen, family. My baby went to sleep. Let's talk. Folktales for grown folks now. Send the babies to bed, right? The stories are mindfuck. The story is for initiates in life, right? Because first off, the moral of the story is wrong. Persuasion is better than force, right? The son forced that man's clothes off, just like the wind was trying to do. But the son did it in a way that made it seem as if it was the man's idea. This is how you move somebody, right? Persuasion is a form of force. And we don't understand that. Like, for example, I want y'all to think about this, right? I want y'all to think about nonviolence. Nonviolence, all people say is not about violence. Nonviolence can be very violent. Why? Because you force people to look at themselves. You got to understand the strategy. The strategy of nonviolence was to force people to have to look at themselves and look at what they was doing, and all of a sudden they would become embarrassed and want to change what they're seeing because they couldn't believe what they were doing or believe what they were seeing. It's a form of force. Family, listen. The only way you get things to happen on this planet is by force. Persuasion is force, right? The son forced this man's clothes off. And the only reason it was able to do it better than the north wind was because the game that they was playing was rigged for the sun to win. Now, what if the wind would have said, all right, cool, you won that one, let's do another one. Let's see who can make this sailboat cross the ocean the fastest. Who would have won? See, because that game is designed for the north wind. Now, many of us in our lives, we haven't even identified the game at which we can be the absolute best. Many of us are caught in the middle of playing somebody else's game rather than learning how to play our own game. As a people, we're doing the same thing, right? We're not even looking at where the areas of life that we could be winning at. The areas of life that we got so mastered that everybody need to come to us and put money in our pocket to do. No, we want to compete with everybody else. We want to set up our organizations like everybody else. We want to build like everybody else. When in fact, some of the structures that we are forced to use are not even designed with us in mind. Now, so what we have to do is be bold enough, because we are today, it's on Kujichagulia, self-determination. We have to be bold enough and strong enough and wise enough to use our self-determination to start defining and creating things that will benefit us, creating games that we can win, creating fields in which we can win, creating things of value that other people want so that we can persuade them like the son to come and get our products, to change their lives, to change how they look at us. Nah, we want to use other people's methods. We in a rigged game. We're the North Wind in this story, family. We're the North Wind. And the question is, when will we start competing about blowing the ships across the ocean rather than trying to get somebody to undress? When we don't do that. Miss Christine Lowe say, I find it hard to encourage the build in our people. Now, this is the issue. One of the things we have to do is strive to build with ourselves. And we have to realize, and I know a lot of people are going to get mad at this because it's elitist, right? Realize that everybody is not a builder. Everybody's not a builder. One of the things that I notice, and this is just from my experience, I look at, I look at the royalty in ancient Kemet, and the pharaoh in one hand had a crook, and in the other hand he had a flail. The crook, both of those are tools of herders. One, the crook was the thing with the hook was used to pull in the animals gently, right? The flail was to discipline. You know, hey, get your ass over here. Now, I done tried to pull you gently. Get, I want you to go that way, right? Those are the tools of royalty. Because our group is doing that. Our building, those of us that are building need to start establishing things that other people could come to and get some value out of and invest in. Not just get value out of, invest in and then get value out of. This is why when we come together, far as the tie we in Columbus, and you know, one of the things that I'm going to start stressing, right, is initiation. People got to invest in so that they can extract out. You see what I'm saying? What we got right now is we got this open door policy where anybody could come in and look like us and they could get all the benefits of somebody that's been working here for 15 years. Fuck that from here on to the future. But to only want to consume and support the system designed to keep us subjugated. That's all people want to do. Because that's the way the game has been designed. This is the game I'm talking about. This is the larger game that a lot of us, we can't even catch the fact that it's not designed for us to win. So we in here running, not realizing that it's not designed for us to win. Shouts out to Miss Jahari Eubanks. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. All right? So family, we understand the piece that I'm trying to stress from this story, right? And I have to stress, this is why when it comes to what we do, you have to be initiated. Miss Christine said the bell has been rung and the spending season will begin this week. Now, and that's cool, but the spending season is going to be for who? Right? Because the issue that a lot of us have to be satisfied with is, look, all of us is not going out and doing that. It's for the few of us to start getting stuff together so that we can start solidifying our culture. Everybody is not going to see it the way we see it. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We just work with those who do. Why? Because when we start building something, people start coming. And the more people come, every dime we have and don't have. Exactly. See, and because now that's another one of those games, the credit game. The credit game wasn't designed for you to win. It never was. See, because when we start overextending ourselves into credit, you know what we become? We become sharecroppers. You become a sharecropper. The only difference between a majority of a lot of us and sharecroppers is that we don't come home dirty every night. But we out there in them fields just as damn long trying to pay, you know, and then at the end of the year, we break even, and some of us, we get a little return check, you know what I'm saying, and we think we doing something. But in fact, we're staying right in place because they give you the return checks because they know you're going to take it right back out and invest it in the game that they got going for them. Family, we got to start thinking generationally. What's going to be here for your children? Right? The North Wind's children will never win the game against the sun. Let me read the story for those that's just joining us. The North Wind and the Sun disputed as to which was the most powerful and agreed that he should be declared the victor who could first strip a wayfaring man of his clothes. The North Wind first tried his power and blew with all his might, but the keener his blast, the closer the traveler wrapped his cloak around him until at last, resigning all hope of victory, the wind called upon the sun to see what he could do. The sun suddenly shone out with all his warmth. The traveler no sooner felt his genial rays than he took off one garment after another, and at last, fairly overcome with heat, undressed and bathed in the stream that lay in his path. Persuasion, and the moral is persuasion is better than force for the uninitiated. For the initiated family, we realize that even the sun was using force. The sun forced that man up out of his clothes. Right? So persuasion is force. Persuasion is force. A lot of us been persuaded into shit that we didn't want to do. Why? It was forced. They didn't pull a gun on us, but no, we felt compelled to go along with what was going on. Right? That's force. Right? we think we make the decision. That man thought that he made the decision to take his clothes off. But actually the sun slowly turned up the heat and made this man strip himself of the clothes. Now but once again, going back to it, that was the sun's game. And there was no way that the north wind would ever be able to beat him. Family, as long as we playing the West Asian game, we will never win. We need to play the black game. We need to play the African game. We need to play our game. Right? We need to look where we got power. You know what I'm saying? We need to look at what we can produce so that we can come back on top. That's the only way. As long as we're playing somebody else's game, we'll never win. See, what a lot of us don't realize is that the West Asians realize this. This is why they shifted the game on us, because at one point in time, our game was running the world. But we allowed it to be flipped. Now we need to flip it back. You know what I'm saying? Now we need to flip it back. And we don't have to start with the world. Let's start with the community that we live in. Like I told y'all, I had an opportunity. I was sitting in the room and I was able to see Black power in motion. It's here in Columbus. It's where you are right now. It's just a matter of what tribe are you hanging with. Family, it's things happening all over this country that we could focus on, and we could see that everything that some of us have been working towards is coming to fruition. But if we focusing on the fools out there that's going to run out and spend all their money, then we lost. Because you always, see, because let me tell you something about the human brain. Right? Your brain will see something negative 3 times faster or 3 times faster and maintain it probably 3 times longer than it will something positive. Why? Why? A matter of survival. Your brain was wired because most of the time, before we was living in houses and living in the environment that we live in right now, right? Think about this. I want y'all to really think about this. Before we was living in the environments we was living in right now, we was living in hostile environments. So if I was to overlook a negative in what I saw in nature or something negative that I heard, if I overlooked it, I would be destroyed. Either eaten up by a lion or caught by a slave catcher or some shit. So I had to focus on the negative things, the things that didn't fit. Right? I had to be able to focus on that. But now, family, that tool is still useful, but it's not as useful as it used to be. So right now, most of us are living our lives using a paradigm. This is why I talk about shining. We're using a paradigm that's over 5,000 years old. And because we can only focus in on the 3 negatives, we miss the 1 positive. That's why I say turn on your reticular formation and hunt down unity in our community, right? Hunt down self-determination. Every day we experience it, but we don't see it because we looking at all the negative shit. So what we have to start learning how to do is learning how to see the world from our perspective, from our game board, rather than allowing other people to draw us into their game board, because you'll never beat them on their home field. You'll never beat them at their game because they set it up. They set it up. See, and I want you to think about this, family. We are the only people that talk this shit about fairness. It's not fair. It's not fair. But when you really look at it, it is fair. Why? Because these people are setting up the world for their children. There is no way that if I had power, I would ever set it up for somebody to get more than mine. Are you crazy? I got nieces, I got nephews, I got sons, I got daughters. There's no way that I would ever make it fair for anybody else that's not part of my bloodline, that's not part of my tribe, that's not part of my nation, that I would ever make it possible for somebody to come up and take their shit. That's foolishness. That's suicide. And we the only ones that think people should do that, and we the only ones that would set up our shit so that anybody could come in and belong and take shit from you. Where they do that at? That's anti-survival. We have become so spiritual, we are of no earthly good in some of the shit that we do. We have to start really thinking about this thing, family, right? Because it's like when you are working towards controlling your now, right? Controlling your now, controlling where you are building a future for your children. And when you start thinking that I am responsible for future generations, then you will take the attitude, well, damn, I got to leave a legacy. But most of us, we're not thinking. We're not legacy thinkers. We're not generational thinkers. We've been taught to think of right now. And because we think of, and not just right now, we don't even think about right now right. Right now is to master the now so that you can pass the moment on to your children. When you start looking at the world like that, it's a bit different. You start dealing with reality a little bit differently. And you call it, and that's the word that they use, nepotism, right? And we're taught that that's wrong. But family, why is it wrong for nepotism? Why is it wrong for nepotism? You know what I'm saying? When did it start becoming wrong for nepotism? And what kills me is that my African folk, my black folks, we talk this nepotism shit, but we don't really think about it. Who was Akhenaten trying to pass his power to? He wasn't trying to pass it down to Johnny down the road. He was looking at somebody in his family. Every empire keeps things within their bloodline. There are rural families that come together and they build. Jazz say, I believe in nepotism too, because it's called survival. And if my son is not capable of ruling, my nephew will be. You understand what I'm saying? It's the game. We're playing the wrong game. We're on the wrong board. We need to switch and move the board or change the rules to the goddamn game. Because we'll never beat. Because at this point in time, they are the sun, we are the north wind. Brother Shaka's calling in. Like I knew he would. Brother Shaka's on the line. What's up, Brother Shaka? Everybody else can call in and join the conversation. 614-556-4535. Brother Shaka, you there? Hello? Uh-oh. Hello? Let me see. Let me check. Audio options. Hold on, Shaka. I got a call back in and hung up on me. Lines are open. Let's have this conversation, family.
Conference now.
Brother Shaka's on the line.
Being recorded.
What's going on, Brother Shaka?
Peace. How you doing, Hudson?
I'm doing good. Welcome to Folktales for Grown Folks. The story of the day is the north wind versus the sun. Did you hear the story?
I did not hear the story yet.
All right, for those new, this whole conversation I'm having is based on this story. And what I need to stress once again for those who are new, right? As we get older and as we become initiated, because life initiates you whether you're going through a direct process or not, right? You are adults and we are listening to these stories with adult ears. You are initiated. So I want you to listen to this with a critical ear. I have to stress that these stories were not these stories were not created for kids. They were created to get lessons across to adults. Then we cornered them and said now they belong to kids. Brother Asaru said we got to create our own game and stop playing others' game. That's right. You know what I'm saying? Because even with the dope piece, that wasn't our game. Niggas thought they was winning, but you can't win it because it's set up for you to fail. It's set up for you to lose. It's not set up for you. But here's the story. The north wind and the sun. The north wind and the sun disputed as to which was the most powerful and agreed that he should be declared the victor who could first strip a wayfaring man of his clothes. The north wind first tried his power and blew with all his might. But the keener his blast, the closer the traveler wrapped his cloak around him, until at last, resigning all hope of victory, the wind called upon the sun to see what he could do. The sun suddenly shone out with all his warmth. The traveler no sooner felt his genial rays than he took off one garment after another, and at last, fairly overcome with heat, undressed and bathed in a stream that lay in his path. And the moral of the story says persuasion is better than force. But I say, and this is just my opinion, that is the moral for the uninitiated. The initiated mind can listen to this story and come up with what's real. But go ahead, Shaka.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something, man. I didn't know that I knew that story, but I do know that story.
Oh, yeah, that's a popular one.
Second grade.
Well, there you go.
I remember hearing that. I remember where I was at. And when you get to the moral, and you say once again, you said that persuasion
is better than force.
It reminds me of something that really one of the lessons that I learned from Marcus Garvey. One of the quotes that I used to always recite to myself is, "You will never win one's opinion through confrontation." That's it.
I'm just gonna say, but even when you look down and you break down persuasion is force. I don't know if you heard me. Persuasion is force.
But you going threefold deep, huh?
No, not really, because think about it. When you play your music, you're trying to persuade people to like the music. And you get them with just a little bit, and you force them in, and then they might start bobbing their head. You force them into the music. You know what I'm saying? And they think that they want to do it, but it's actually you pulling them into it. See, because think about this. That whole story, if you listen to it, and I already broke this down for other people, did the son persuade that man to take his clothes off, or did the son force the man to take his clothes off?
You know what? I'm going to tell you something. I look at, can temptation be forced? Temptation just is what it is.
Temptation, but if you're using it intentionally, when I tempt you, I'm trying to get you to do something. And if you do what I did, I just forced you to do it. You just think that you wanted to do it. No, there's
You
not.
strive to block your own paradigms.
Thank you, Miss Sasha.
Get out of here.
You understand what I'm saying?
Huh.
So let's look at the
I
story.
do.
The wind was trying to force the man to take his clothes off by doing what the north wind does. First off, now the first thing that I laid out for the people is that if you think about it, when you think about the north wind, what is the north wind known for?
Talking about the Chicago wind?
Winds that come from the north. What are they known for?
Cold.
Cold, exactly. So the wind is playing a game that it can't win. Because even if the wind was to blow lightly, if it's a north wind, you know that either it's bringing a storm or it's bringing coldness, which causes people to dress up anyway. So first off, the first thing you got to realize when you look at this story is that the game was rigged from jump. There was no way that the north wind could ever win and making somebody take clothes off when the north wind always blows cold. You understand what I'm saying? So
I do.
now, as he went through, he bundled up even more when the north wind started blowing. Why? Because he cold. What the sun do? The sun turned up the heat. The sun starts shining brighter. Now, the man felt hot. But he didn't think that the sun was making him do it. He decided to take off one piece of clothing. Then the sun got hotter, just a little bit warmer, and he took off another piece of clothing. Then another piece of clothing. Then it got so hot he got naked and just jumped into a pond as he was walking by. Question. Did the sun make the man take the clothes? Did the sun force the man to take the clothes off?
Yes.
Force. That wasn't persuasion. That was force. Oftentimes, see, because a lot of times we think that force is something visible that we could see all the time. Like many of us, right? We think that we do what we do because we want to do it. But in actuality, we have been, as you call it, tempted into doing shit or forced into doing shit to maintain our lifestyles. Our whole life are based on force. It's not based on this whole persuasion shit that they trying to push off on us right now. That's a fucking illusion. You know what I'm saying? Most of us are not being persuaded into our lifestyle. We're being forced into the life that we're living right now. Why? Because right now, most of us are in the place of the North Wind, family. We're playing a game that we can't win. That game was rigged. The North Wind should have said, hey, let's see who could blow a boat across Lake Michigan the fastest.
Mm-hmm.
The North Wind was suckered. And the North Wind was trying to play a game that was designed for the sun to win. And as long as you're playing a game that's not designed for you to win, you always going to lose. And that's where our people is right now. We're playing a game that was not designed for us to win. Rather than being smart and doing what we could do the best at. If we are the wind, we're better at blowing things. So the challenge for us would be, all right, son, okay, cool. You get him to take his clothes off, but can you blow this bag across the street? We aren't looking for the things that we're good at. We're not looking at where we could use the resources that we have in our community to make the most, to be the most effective. Or in our tribes, because I ain't going to say communities yet, because I don't even think we at the community level yet. We still at the tribe building point. But the whole community piece is coming together, man. I seen it for myself. It's coming together. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and this is not just happening here in Columbus. This is happening everywhere, right? And what we have to be able to do is jump on that and look at where our power is and start utilizing our power and master where we are the best at and start getting everybody to have to pay us to do what we the best at.
Right.
You know, that's where I'm at.
Right.
I ain't gonna bore everybody, you know what I'm saying? But hey, go on, man. Go on. It's your turn. I'm gonna shut up.
You know, I gotta agree with you, man. And, you know, when I look at the decade that I spent in Columbus versus the decade I just spent in Cleveland, in terms of looking around at the milestones and what monuments my work, I can look back in Columbus and see the relationships of, you know, from the kids that I mentored who are now in the positions that I played when I was their age in the community. So, in a sense, and you know, and then looking at Cleveland, I came here, my music was already on the radio, and I'm like, you know what, Cleveland know who I am, but they didn't. And the more that I try to go out and insert myself, they don't know me. And so my ideas, they make sense to them, but where did this dude come from? Where did Shaka come from? And I'm like, yo, this is my hometown. And I feel, I don't feel that I have been as effective over this past decade here that I did in the decade that I spent in Columbus. And then I started to realize why. It was because in Columbus, I started my career off with outreach, so I was constantly engaging in community on each side of community on a weekly basis, and I brought my best out because if I didn't appeal to those in those communities, then outreach was irrelevant.
Right.
Why build a relationship with someone who you don't see an incentive? Because at the end of the day, when you introduce yourself, from a stranger to, hey, I'm, from the where we was from. You know what I mean? What's in it for me?
Was it?
What's the We FM? What's in it for me? Radio. And that's where I feel like right now, I've tweaked my own process here, and I've taken advantage of opportunities like Uber or Lyft or anything that gets me out into the community where, because think about it, you're basically outreaching. Every time somebody steps into your vehicle, you got at least 5 minutes to be able to establish some fundamental rapport.
Throughout them temptations, huh?
And that's what's been going on.
Right.
Go ahead.
I said throwing out those temptations. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, because it's called persuasion, but it's force. It's a gentle force. It's not you. It's a gentle force. And we have to learn how to use that, especially those of us just talking about nation building. Right? Because it's like, because sometimes we're throwing bricks at people. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, oh, damn. Boom, boom. You question somebody's spirituality. You question what they thought about economics their whole life. I ain't trying to hear that shit right now. Hold on, homie. I'm just getting my life together. Right? You know what I'm saying? You got to turn up the heat like the sun.
Right.
You got to play the game that they're playing on at that point in time. So that now when they pick up the book on economics, or they start looking at the videos about economics, or they start listening to the podcast about economics, they believe that it was because they wanted to do it. When they pick up the book about spirituality, they start exploring spirituality, they start to believe, I'm doing this because I wanted to do it. You turn the heat up like the sun. You're learning how to play the game. Right? Now, This is the challenge for us as a community. What game are we playing, and is it designed for us to win? And then we can't get mad if it's not designed for us to win, because one, the people that make the laws only create laws to protect the future of the future of those that created the law. That's what the laws are made for. Laws are made to protect the future of those that create the laws. Who created the laws? You understand what I'm saying? So now you can't go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You finish that.
Now, and what I'm saying is, the game we're playing, the rules of the game, because every time you get a board game, you pull out a book of rules, right? If we was to go out and get Monopoly right now, we didn't know how to play Monopoly, we have to pull out the book and start reading the book, or pull down the instructions. The instructions are the laws or the rules of the board. Now, what we have to understand is that if you're not playing the game in a certain way, you could be disqualified, put in jail, right? Because we all know individuals who played the game wrong, ended up getting put in jail, right? Or if you don't know how to play, you could be cheated. We know plenty of people that did that. You know what I'm saying? Or you can just basically gonna always lose because you don't know the rules of the game, and the rules were not designed for you, with you in mind. So all I'm saying is we need to create our own game, a game where we can win. Mm-hmm. And we can have other people coming to our board talking about, hey, can I roll the dice? Hold on. You can roll after my 15 roll. After I move 15 times, then I can let you roll once. Then after you roll that once, I get to move 30 times. Then after you roll that, you know what I'm saying? You set the rules so that you can win, because a lot of people don't understand, dude. This is about survival. This is about us being able to pass on legacy. And I can't, and this is the truth. Think about this, Shaka. There is a little girl down the street from you right now. You sell and go platinum. You stack up all this money and you about to die. And you got the girl down the street that you don't even know. You know what I'm saying? She's a nice girl. Y'all speak. And you got your daughters. You got your daughter and your son. Right? Who you going to pass your money to?
My kids.
No, man, that's not fair. Why you ain't going to pass it to the little girl down the street? I'm just asking.
Is that yeah.
Why wouldn't you pass it to the little girl down the street? She's a nice little girl. Why wouldn't you pass it to her?
Why don't I pass my money to her? Because I have a responsibility to my blood.
Oh, you got a responsibility to your blood. So you're going to make sure that you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that your blood wins.
Absolutely.
Okay. Why don't we run our community like that? Why don't we run our families like that? I mean, really, when it comes down to it, if you look at some of the decisions we make, we're not making it with legacy in mind. Legacy ain't just us being able to pass millions of dollars down the line. Legacy is us passing our ideas, passing our books, passing our knowledge down. You know what I'm saying? To our bloodline so that they have an advantage over that stranger down the street.
Hey, man, I'm going to tell you something. I've been building my legacy. I have intended my legacy for so long that I don't ever remember a train of thought that wasn't about that.
Is it a legacy if it goes to an outside player?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes, it is.
Nah. It's not a legacy. It's booty. It's a prize.
It's booty?
It's booty or a prize. When your legacy go to somebody outside your bloodline, that means that in some form or fashion you have been conquered. So what would be legacy to your children is treasure or booty to somebody else. That's what we're doing. You understand what I'm saying?
Now, yes, I do. Now, let me go back a little bit, because you was talking about how the game was already set before we even chose to play.
We was forced to play. We ain't choose to play. We was born into this game, and we are forced to play right now. We're forced to play right now. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I'm going to use the analogy, and I'm going to use myself.
Hold on. Shouts out to Miss Lemitra. Go ahead.
Yes. Now, Hatim, you and a few others know that I shoot pool.
Who, you? Nah.
And
you don't shoot no pool. you don't go to no CD joints. You don't be going to no CD joints, man. You conscious, man. Conscious dudes don't shoot pool. What pool got to do with freedom, man? Come on, man. You don't shoot no damn pool. Huh?
Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you something. I was a decent player before I joined the APA League. Which is I was a decent player before I joined the league. And then the league came with all these rules, and it was jamming up my style. It was jamming up my game. All right? And I was such a cocky player, insolent, if you will, that it got underneath people's skins. And it wasn't even that I was a really good shit talker, because I'm not. I don't think. But I would call something that the next man just couldn't see. And when I would start to throw his rhythm off, it was I started to see that I could control the game.
Right.
So here's the thing: people come to play me. Now, I got to Tarantino this. At one point in time, I don't know if you remember the story or not, So one point in time, I had a short and a microphone, and I got charged up something awful. and
Right.
and what ends up happening is my left hand, which I'm left-handed, my left hand was clenched as a fist and wouldn't open up for weeks because of this accident.
Right. Shouts out to Elder Gaylord.
So I would
Keep going.
say, what now?
No, I said shouts out to
So,
Elder Gaylord.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And so I would force cue stick into my hand so that I could retrain my left hand to work again, because there wasn't no way I was going to train my right hand to do what my left hand has done all my life.
Right.
All right? So here's the piece. People would shoot me after I rehabilitated my hand, and I became a better one-handed player than I did play pool with two hands. And I used it to my advantage because, yes, the game, if I played people straight, I would lose a lot more games. But I would play and force myself to a handicap that would cause that other individual to play the same handicap as me. So I tell them before the game, listen, I'm going to shoot with one hand. Ain't a thing cocky. I'm better with one hand. And when I get to the 8 ball, I'm going to hit it off some rails before it goes in the hole. Saying it to myself, I don't mean no offense. And piece is that sometimes when they get that, because, I gave them 7 or 8 chances to go ahead and catch up with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now we both at the 8, and the 8 is at the hole. Now, I wouldn't feel no kind of way if they just shot it straight in the hole. But because of good sportsmanship, a lot of the players will say, you know what, I'm going to play you at your game. And they'll bank the 8 with me. Now, oftentimes, I'll get under people's skin because to them, I might be a little bit more relentless with my one hand than they expected me to be. The piece is that I remember one time, was a young guy, real angry dude to begin with. I didn't know this. His friends knew it, though. They came and to watch him shoot me. And I get down to the 8 ball. And I start banking it around the table. It ain't going in. About 7 times this happened. And then he throws his stick on the table. Says, you know what? He's like, you gonna play me like a man? I said, yeah. And you...
With 2 hands.
Yeah.
You gonna play me like a man? Go ahead.
Now his friends egging him on like, hey man, until you win, you don't get to challenge him. You don't get to demand that he use his other hand. He doing good with one. So, I get down to the 8 and I start using both hands anyways because I'm banking. And I think I hit like a 4-rail shot, 4-rail long. And he was a sore loser. He started going off at the end of the game. He's like, man, I can't concentrate when you shooting like you shooting. You know what I mean? That was his argument. When you shooting the way you shooting, it take me out my game. He admits this in front of his friends. I say, well, if that's all I got to do, I'm going to just keep shooting you with one hand. Okay, that was the end of that.
Man, goddamn it, would you tie it into what we was talking about? You come on.
The fact of the matter is,
there we
that
go.
We got a game. Listen. We got a game that we all know all the rules to, right? Mm. One hand part was me changing. How do you say persuading a different behavior?
Okay.
All right. So now that I've set off this behavior, I've shown someone how to come closer to mastering self through the game. Because the piece is that if ego gets the best of you because of the way that I'm playing, play the way that you play. Play to win. Because at the end of the day, me playing with one hand is 50% gimmick to get you to play my game. And if you just play your traditional game, or you play to win, as they say, then you even up the battlefield in a sense.
Right. But what
I feel like.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead. I feel like the way that I shoot, I just shoot for the love of the sport. A lot of people play to win. I love playing people who love the sport.
Yeah.
So.
Go ahead.
No, hey, I mean, did I tie it in?
You did all right. Let me read the damn story again, man. All right, now I got a question for you. What happens when you play in a game that you're not even familiar with?
A lot of times I get taken.
Everybody gets taken. All I'm saying is that when you look at the overall analysis, because a little bit different than the pool analogy, because you're familiar with playing pool. You can play with one hand or you can play with two hands because you're familiar with the game. Most of us are playing a game we're playing a game that we don't even know the rules to, nor do we even know what game we're playing. And you can look and see that most of us don't understand the game we playing because of how we live our lives. So this game, unlike pool, unlike Monopoly, unlike chess, we don't even know that that what game we're playing. So there's no possible way that we can win. You know what I'm saying? And we're playing a game that's designed against us. Now this is what I mean, because like I said, when we look at the story of the North Wind and the Sun, and I'm gonna read that for some of the new people on here. Once again, when you look at the North Wind and the Sun. The North Wind was playing a game. There was no way that he could ever win. No way that the North Wind. Go ahead.
Tim.
Shouts out to VL Bradley.
Before you read the story again.
Go ahead.
Before you read the story again, I want you to realize one thing. Past 30 seconds, the way you described this tale is the exact same reason that L. Frank Baum wrote The Wizard of Oz. It's to show you. Did we have this conversation before about the reason he wrote that story?
Nah. But a lot of people aren't familiar with
1900, it. In 1900, L. Frank Baum wrote The Wizard of Oz to prepare the American people for what was going to happen when the change of affairs, when we basically, what would happen when we would give our wealth away. All right? We were fooled as an American people to trading our silver and gold for state treasury notes that are worthless. And we gave our wealth away. So The Wizard of Oz is the story of us and our alter egos put into a system that was already rigged. And so when you get there, the Emerald City really represents those systems that you're talking about. You gotta go through Emerald City, go to the Wiz, ask him a question. He's got all the answers. And all the answers in the court system mean you owe money. It always comes down to money. We giving more money. Right?
Right.
So when she lands in Oz, all she wants is to get home into some normalcy. And what she finds is a mission, follow this yellow brick road and those silver slippers. And yes, in a book, there were silver slippers that represented the silver and gold that she was trying to get back, our real wealth, our real independence, our real freedom, is what, and Dorothy, from the heartland of America, represents the American psyche. All of her allies represent her alter ego, starting with the straw man, which in bankruptcy court, what's the straw man?
I don't know.
It's how they identify. It's how they identify with us, with numbers, with ones and zeros, not the soul of who you are. All right, which is why when you look at our any document,
Shouts out to Stephanie Jackson
from our license. Go ahead.
No, I'm sending shouts out. Go ahead. I'm still listening.
From our driver's license to social security cards to our birth certificate, it has a serial number and the name of the property is in all caps. We are the property on these documents. We are property of the United States, not citizens. And this is where, now, what did Frank Baum know in 1900? Did he know that eventually we would be issued these social security cards? This is where the Tin Man comes in. Well, first of all, so the scarecrow is the straw man. The straw man has no brain because when he enters into the court system, he can't make the decisions. The decisions are made for him. Tin Man, T-I-N man, taxpayer identification number, man, is another way that they identify with us, a vessel that was formed to do this labor, to do this work. He holds an axe in the air, and the axe or the ace represents, the state commerce seal. There's two axes, or ace, which in the research that I was given means God, right? So in the state commerce, once again, the lion, who was once the king of his independence, is now based out of fear. So all three of these individuals represent what they've created us to be as a broken America, so that we are constantly feeding the machine. So the only way, once again, you get any answers is from this man behind the curtain who has all the answers. That means you owe us money. There's no way out of this system. So the way that you describe this game is exactly how Frank Baum wrote The Wizard of Oz to prepare us for the takeover.
Well, you didn't do a good job because at the end they got rid of the Oz, right? I'm just joking. You know what I'm saying? But those stories are important now. So for those that didn't get a chance to hear the story, here we go. I'm read the story and we're going to end this, right? I done yelled at y'all enough and stuff like that. I hope you got something out of it. I want to thank Brother Shaka for joining us. But it's called The North Wind and the Sun. I want you to listen with your initiation ears, your initiated ears, a lot of y'all approaching eldership, listen. The North Wind and the Sun disputed as to which was the most powerful and agreed that he should be declared the victor who could first strip a wayfaring man of his clothes. The North Wind first tried his power and blew with all his might, but the keener his blast, the closer the traveler wrapped his cloak around him, until at last, resigning all hope of victory, the wind called upon the sun to see what he could do. The sun suddenly shone out with all his warmth. The traveler no sooner felt his genial rays than he took off one garment after another, and at last, fairly overcome with heat, undressed and bathed in the stream that lay in his path. Persuasion is better than force. That is the moral. But those of us that's listening with initiated ear, at least I feel, that's not the moral. That's not the moral. Now, I'm going to stop it now. I'm going to give y'all time to go back and listen to what I said before, like and share, and make your comments. You don't have to agree with me. You ain't got to agree with Shaka. You just have to think. Because remember, man, this is Gye-Nyame journey, man. My goal is to blow up your old paradigms. So, Shaka, I want to thank you. Got any last words?
Hey, I want everybody to agree with me. That's the only way that it's supposed to be. What good is this persuasion if y'all gonna go the other way?
Well, you just ruined it because now you told them what it is, right? Persuasion is force. It's a gentle force, family. You know what I'm saying? It's a gentle force. And then also, the lesson for those that are initiated is know what game you playing. And if you in a game that you can't win, we have to come together and create one where we can. Because we building for legacy, family. We the only ones that give away our legacy. We're the only ones that feel that it's fair for somebody else's child to get more than yours. I'm saying hell with that. I'm saying that we need to build a legacy that our children can receive as much as they possibly can. Especially ones with hustle, family. All right, but yo, I want to let you know you are now listening to Gye-Nyame Journey. This is our podcast and our live stream. Of course, you know that this is Folktales for grown folks, and this is a Heart of a Simba production. My line, Simba, get. Damn it. Hold on. This is a Heart of a Simba production. Better get it right. But we strive. Come over and say it for me. Come on. Where we strive. Wait, hold on. Where we strive.
To blow up your own paradise.
Heard it from the mouth of babes. We are out, family. Peace.